West Hill United is a progressive spiritual community where how you live is more important than what you believe. West Hill United is a people, a place, an idea. We are a community living out of a progressive faith, striving to make a positive difference in our own lives, the lives of others, and the world. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. or connect with us at any time.
Scott. We come now to the readings, and you can see there are 3 of them. And at the end of readings each Sunday, the reader customarily adds the phrase, offered as wisdom for the journey. And that we simply invite you to respond with, may we walk in its light. But this little ritual is not compulsory, and if you don't feel like doing it or don't want to, then please don't worry. We've got some interesting readings here. The first reading comes from Steve Allen, and it is, without laughter, life on our planet would be intolerable. So important is laughter to us that humanity highly rewards members of one of the most unusual professions on earth, those who make a living by inducing laughter in others. This is very strange if you stop to think of it, that otherwise sane and responsible citizens should develop their professional energies to causing others to make sharp, explosive, barking-like exhalations. The second reading comes from a book written by Ellen DeGeneres called Seriously, I'm Kidding. Laugh. Laugh as much as you can. Laugh until you cry. Cry until you laugh. Keep doing it, even if people are passing you on the street saying, I can't tell if that person is laughing or crying, but either way they seem crazy. Let's walk faster. Emote. It's okay. It shows that you are thinking and feeling. And finally, a brief statement from comedian Milton Berle. Laughter is an instant vacation. Good one. Now, over to you, Babette.
Thank you, Chris.
Our speaker today is Sophie Scott, and Sophie is the Deputy Director of University College London's Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience. She specialises in the neurological basis of communication, whether it's speech or vocalised emotion. I think vocalised emotion just means laughter or other expressions of how we feel. She's a leader in her field. As a pioneering researcher in the science of laughter, she's made some unexpected discoveries, including that rats are ticklish. As a Scotsman, I don't really know what ticklish means, because I would say rats are tickly. And there's one tactic, she also discovered there's one tactic almost guaranteed to get someone to laugh, is to show them someone else laughing.
That's true.
But as an occasional stand-up comedian with UCL's Bright Club, she shows that she's no slouch at getting laughs herself. So why laughter today? We've heard Ellen DeGeneres said, it, that is laughing, shows you are thinking and feeling. It doesn't mean that we're frivolous or unable to be serious. I can take myself too seriously and get stuck in my head. And it's true that we have been particularly serious the last 2 Sundays. And so I suggested we take a look at something lighter. But partly it's about caring for self, it's that, and partly it's about growing in wisdom together. Hold the thought that laughing doesn't mean we are incapable of being serious. So it's time to let Sophie speak on her video. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'd like to talk to you about laughter and the importance of laughter as a skill. And to do so, I'm going to start by discussing some American foreign policy, because that's always absolutely hilarious. So back in 1995, towards the end of the war in the former Yugoslavia, there'd been a very ill-tempered speech given by Boris Yeltsin at the UN about the involvement of the Russian Federation and NATO. And then he had a meeting with Bill Clinton, at which some of these same issues were coming up, and it was considered to be likely to be a bit of a row. So what actually happened when these two men came out and gave a press conference about their summit? And can we learn anything about laughter if we watch this?
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Watch Bill Clinton.
Уважаемые дамы и господа,
Yeltsin
Ladies and gentlemen,
уважаемые журналисты,
doesn't sound very happy.
во-первых, я должен сказать, что я ехал сюда на эту встречу по приглашению президента Соединенных Штатов Билла Клинтона не с таким оптимизмом, который сейчас у меня имеется.
I want to say, first of all, that when I came here to the United States for this visit at the invitation of the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, I did not at that time have the degree of optimism with which I now am departing.
И это все из-за вас, потому что даже в сегодняшних всех газетах, опираясь на вчерашнее выступление в Организации Объединенных Наций, вы пререкли, что наша встреча сегодня, она провалится.
And this is all due to you, because coming from my statement yesterday in the United Nations, and if you looked at the press reports, one could see that what you were writing was that today's meeting with President Bill Clinton was going to be a disaster.
Big laugh.
Так вот, не первый раз я вам говорю, что вы провалились.
Well, now for the first time I can tell you that you're a disaster.
Enormous laugh. Helpless with laughter.
Be sure you get the right attribution there.
Boris Yeltsin now starts laughing. No one's able to get anything done for a while now. That tends to happen with laughter. These guys. So, what is laughter? Clearly, that was quite an enjoyable thing in a rather surprising setting. Laughter actually is a very interesting behaviour. We tend to associate it with comedy and humour, but laughter is primarily a social behaviour. You're 30 times more likely to laugh with somebody else than if you're on your own. And frequently, this means your laughter happens when you're in conversation, because that tends to be what happens when you're with other people. And very often, that laughter is simply contagious laughter. You laugh just because other people are laughing. You just catch a laugh. You're much more likely to catch a laugh from someone you know than someone you don't know. And in conversations, we're still commonly not laughing at jokes and humour. There aren't punchlines necessarily. We're laughing to show agreement. We're laughing to show understanding. We're laughing to show that we agree and we see where somebody's coming from. We share that experience. We laugh much more with people we know and people we feel comfortable around. We laugh we don't laugh, rather, if we're feeling exposed and we're feeling awkward. When we're comfortable, when we can relax, when we're with people familiar to us, people we like, people with whom we share affection, we laugh even more. When we're children, we learn to laugh, and we learn to laugh primarily in play. And play is a very important behavior, and we frequently use laughter to indicate that we are playing. The same behavior could simply be pure aggression, were it not for the marking of it as play. And this is done with laughter, primarily. We will use laughter, not just to show that we're part of the same group as somebody, we like them, we understand them, we agree with them. We will also use laughter to sort of show we understand that they may be trying to make us laugh. We pick up on their intentions. And we'll also use laughter to try and control situations. We'll use laughter to try and make ourselves feel better. And it only works if everybody joins in. If one person's going, ha, 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 and no one else is laughing, that tends not to make anybody feel better at all. That if everybody joins in, laughter is actually an effective way of improving the positive mood of a group of people. And people can use laughter because of this link with sort of de-escalation from stress. People will use laughter to show that they're okay. I'm not angry that you've poured yellow paint all over me. I'm delighted. This is exactly how I hoped my day would go. Charles Darwin, very interestingly, got a lot of stuff right about the sort of how we started to look at emotions in the study of psychology over the next 150 years after his writing. He wrote about things like anger and disgust and fear, but he also wrote a lot about laughter. And we largely ignored that. There's actually very, very little scientific research into laughter. But Charles Darwin thought that laughter was really important, and he thought at its heart it was an expression of joy. It's a joyful emotion, and it's joy in play, it's joy in company, it's joy in the company of those we love. And I think it's really important to think about that when we think about laughter, and also think about how that could go wrong, because we learn to laugh. Babies will laugh when they're tickled or somebody plays peekaboo with them, but it's a behavior we can encourage. We learn what laughter means, we learn to understand laughter. And we can see that going wrong. So this is a study that I did with my colleague Ezgi Widding at UCL last year, where we were studying teenage boys who are at risk of psychopathy. They have conduct disorders, and they are high in what's called callous and unemotional traits. They're not behaving well, and they don't care if they hurt people. And what we find when they listen to laughter compared to control teenage boys who are normally developing is that behaviorally, they don't find laughter contagious. They don't join in when somebody else laughs, and they don't want to join in when somebody else laughs. If we look at their brain, where normally when people hear laughter, you can actually see this priming response. You can see people getting ready to join in. They show a significantly reduced effect. Now, we don't know in this context if we're seeing this because those boys have always had a problem learning to laugh because of these conduct disorders and these callous and unemotional traits that they have. Has that affected how they engage with laughter? Or have they never had the opportunity to learn to laugh? Have they not been laughed with? Have they not been played with? And of course, we need a lot more research to look into this. And there's an even more extreme condition called galatophobia, where people not only don't want to join in when they hear laughter, they are actively frightened and respond aggressively to laughter. They're the kind of person who's walking down the street, hears laughter, think they're being laughed at, and they punch that person. And you never find galatophobia outside of the most profound psychological disturbances. So in fact, we can see laughter and the reaction to laughter spanning a huge different quality and properties of human experience and kind of lives that we can live. It can be an incredibly positive social tool, or it can be something that you fear, depending on your experiences. So thinking about that, can we go back to that bit of film and think about why on earth Bill Clinton was laughing? Well, from the start, he's watching Boris Yeltsin like a hawk. All his attention is on him. And he looks like, actually, he's waiting for a reason to laugh. And then he gets his reason, because Boris Yeltsin says his name, Bill Clinton. And he laughs then. It's a pure laugh of recognition. Yes, ha, 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 my name is Bill Clinton. And don't knock it, you know, you get a laugh, it gets a laugh. So that's his reason. He's got going. And then Boris Yeltsin says the line about that, you know, you thought it would be a disaster, but it's you that's the disaster. And actually, that's a mistranslation. He used the word failure, and it's mistranslated by the Russian-American interpreter. People have said that Bill Clinton is laughing at this mistranslation. I don't know if that's giving, well, possibly he is. Most people probably didn't pick up on that. it's likely that he's now just using that as a reason both to escalate the laughter and also to reframe what is quite an insulting comment by Boris Yeltsin as a joke. He's de-escalating the situation and he's representing it to us as this guy is hilarious. And it completely changes our perception and, importantly, Boris Yeltsin's perception of what's going on. Boris Yeltsin says, yeah, I am killing it here. This is very funny. And it carries on. He now gets a smile out of Yeltsin, who cracks, and then he gets his laugh. Boris Yeltsin starts to laugh, and he is laughing primarily here through pure contagion. For a while, they're both incapacitated by the laughter, and that happens with laughter. It pretty much will stop you doing anything else for a short amount of time. And then they go back. Okay, they're doing okay. So why? Why was Bill Clinton laughing? Well, we've got the recognition, and then we've got the kind of comment, the joke, reframing. And that's actually really important. He is de-escalating and basically reframes the whole thing. The atmosphere was tense, and he turns that into a positive situation. So he's de-escalating the stress, and he's just reframing everything as this is great fun we're having, and this is just hilarious. This guy's so funny. He's also showing that he is quite comfortable in that situation. We don't laugh when we feel exposed or awkward. So Clinton is showing that he's confident. This is fine. You guys might have been worried about this. I know we're golden. This guy's hilarious. And that really matters to us. We learn when we're very, very young to use our parents' laughter as a way of working out whether or not a situation is serious or not. Children of 12 months old will use their parents' laughter or their absence of laughter to work out if an unfamiliar situation is something they should worry about. And we continue doing that, so it matters that Bill Clinton is doing this. And he's also showing that he's affiliated with Yeltsin. He's showing that he feels affection towards him. And Yeltsin does the same thing. We don't catch laughs off people we don't like. We don't catch laughs off people we don't know. So actually, they're marking their bond there. And the final point that I think is really intriguing is Bill Clinton at no stage makes it look like he's laughing at Boris Yeltsin. He goes to great pains to include him. He's not going, this guy is an idiot, let's laugh at him. It would mean something very, very different if he did. In fact, I think generally, in American foreign policy, anybody's foreign policy, don't laugh in the face of your kind of premier state from another country. It's probably 8 o'clock day one of a rule. He includes him in that laughter. And this is a really important factor about laughter, because laughter is about making and maintaining social bonds. People are very cautious about working out where they are in relation to that. And this does mean you can't just take a difficult situation and throw a squirt of laughter at it. You've got to make sure people feel included in that laughter. They're not feeling excluded or offended by that laughter. And this leads us back to perhaps a more important aspect of laughter. It's an important social skill that we learn to do. We learn about the social use of laughter throughout our entire early adult life, and it's probably one of the more important social skills that we acquire. And we should probably take this a lot more seriously. We should think about the things that can affect our laughter. We can think about the things that we could do to encourage our understanding of our laughter. And perhaps the takeaway message is take laughter seriously. Think about your laughter. Don't undervalue or trivialize your laughter. It matters. It matters a lot. It can sound like friendship. It can sometimes sound a lot like love. Thank you.
Review. Could we have the gallery view up on the screen? Briefly. If you have ever got an email and at the end of a statement it has the letters, capital letters LOL, which signifies laugh out loud, I still haven't determined how else you can laugh. I do not know what that means. Just L would be sufficient for me to see someone's laughing out loud. But there are kinds of laughter, and the speaker gave the range of that. There can be giggling, there can be guffawing. My father once won the prize at having the loudest laugh in the church social in the basement, and he was very proud of his award for that. And it was my dad's laugh was warm and big and wonderful and never mocking and always just enjoying, and I grew up with that loud laugh. My mother could go into paroxysms of laughter at herself. She had a wonderful ability to see herself having done something or said something silly, and then you could see it dawning on her, and then she would just go. I think Greta has experienced it. I think even Babette has experienced my mom's laughing at herself, and it's healthy and it's comfortable, and there is nervous laughter. Now, my sister and I, this is bad. We were bad. So we admit we were bad. There's no bragging here at all. But my parents took us to a concert at Massey Hall, and I believe it was either the Messiah or something big like that. Well, it was the first time my sister and I had ever heard a male contralto soprano. And we just weren't expecting the gentleman to sound like that. No objection to it, just it was a surprise. Well, I started, I'm 10, my sister's 8. I started to laugh. And my sister elbowed me, as my younger sister, who always thought she was my older sister, would do. And I said, I'm sorry. So we listen, and then she starts to laugh. And then because she's laughing, I begin again to laugh. And my parents are mortified because there's nothing funny happening in the concert. It's absolutely beautiful, and as it should sound. But it looks like we're making fun of this man with a higher than usual voice. Well, if you've ever been in a pew when you're laughing, the pew can start to shake. And with my sister and I both laughing, the pew was shaking, and my mother noticed that the people sitting beside us so it was a horrible moment, and Jan and I still remember it with great joy and laughter that we did this and wouldn't do it now, of course. And then there's laughing because my younger daughter, if you are sitting at a table and you have the smallest amount of food somewhere on your face, and you don't know it, she's one of the most courteous, caring, compassionate, empathic people I know, but she cannot stop laughing. She will burst out laughing. And it's not, we've explored this because sometimes when we were out for company, I had to sort of rein her in there, but we explored it, and it wasn't that the food looked funny on their face. It was that they didn't know. She found that absolutely devastatingly amusing and would not stop laughing. So sometimes at the dinner table, I would put a piece of food on my face just for the fun of watching her do that. And she said, it's not funny, you did it on purpose, so it's not funny. And there's all sorts of laughter. On the difficult side, and I'm looking at the screen and I'm looking at you people, many of us have been laughed at in an uncomfortable way. Sometimes when you're younger, sometimes when you're older. So laughing, as the speaker said, can be something hurtful. And maybe the person didn't intend it, but that's a hard thing, to be laughed at, or to be told that your idea was ridiculous and laughable. The word laughable can be a difficult one. But there are 60 species of animals who have been recorded at sounding very much like they are laughing at something that could induce laughter, like playfulness and tickling and roughing around with a sibling, and they burst out laughing. 60 species. And even the dolphin call, they've actually found that in some sort of playfulness, there's a dolphin laugh that would be lovely to hear. Laughter boosts our immune system. It makes the day go a little better. It's a little, I think Milton Berle's comment, it's a little vacation. I'm going to tell you one of my favorite jokes. I'm going to read it because it has to be exactly right. And then I will tell you why my professor of early English literature tried to tell us that Chaucer was a comedian and that his book was funny, which we did not find it at all. A bit. Nothing funny. So here's my joke. One day, A guy sees a sign in front of a house, talking dog for sale. The owner tells him the dog's in the backyard, so he goes around the back and sees a black dog. You talk? He asks the dog. Yep, the dog replies. So, what's your story? The dog says, well, when I discovered my gift, I wanted to help the government. So I told them about it, and in no time they had me jetting around the world, sitting with spies and world leaders. And because no one suspected a dog, I was one of their most valuable spies. And then I wanted to settle down, so I signed up to do undercover security work at the airport. I uncovered some incredible dealings there and got a batch of medals. I had a wife, a mess of puppies, and now I'm retired. The guy is amazed. He goes inside and asks the owner what he wants for the dog. The owner says, $10. The guy says, why on earth are you selling him so cheaply? The owner replies, oh, he's such a liar. He didn't do any of that stuff. I have laughed at that over and over and over again. He's such a liar. He never did any of those things. He talks, but evidently that's not so impressive. What happens in that is we're trundling along thinking, okay, we're hearing something, and then our perspective gets jolted out of the line, and that makes us laugh. I love that. I even thought the talking dog was fun, but I wasn't going that direction. I wasn't thinking of that. I wasn't ready for that idea. The professor that tried to tell us that Chaucer was a comedic writer, he put on the board, and I've always remembered this, and this must be like 1970 something, he put on the board the shortest definition of humor. The shortest definition of humor, perspective. When our perspective shifts. And so I just wanted to leave you with that idea of humor and laughter being that we have invited ourselves into a shift of perspective. We've let someone tell us a story and enjoy. I have a registered practical nurse that comes into my office almost every week and tells me a joke. And other than that, he's a fairly serious guy. He's a lovely guy, great values. He tells me a joke every week, and I love it. Because it's another, wasn't ready for that. And so if we could enjoy life in that way, what prompts laughter is we've been moved into something we didn't see before, some way we didn't look at something that way before. It's a refreshing invitation into something new and to be willing to see something from another point of view. I hope you see things differently than you did 25 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and we're learning together. I have loved laughing with you always, and just now I knew how you would laugh with that. So a joke or a pleasant or a little observation that brings a fresh perspective is good. I've altered the words to our final song, and we'll alter it back. I'm just doing it temporarily for this, to put the word joy in where other words were there. So if you'll join with us and go out into your week with that song in your heart, it's a lilting, singable song. Come sing a song with me, and I'll give you joy where joy is hard to find.
Become a sustaining champion of West Hill United's work by committing to an automatic monthly donation. Learn more or donate now through Canada Helps.